Welcome everyone. Welcome to Good Conversations with Paul. These conversations always start with one belief, and that is that we do not become ourselves in isolation. Our identities are shaped in relationship by the people we associate with, by the places we inhabit, by the things that we cherish and collect, by the ideas we explore or choose to believe, and by the actions that we take. We are always becoming through what we do and through who and what we are with. In this distracted world, full of distractions, real conversations are rare. The kind where we slow down, listen carefully, allow complexity, and let ourselves be influenced. Good conversations is not an interview. You can relax. It's not a debate, and it's not a platform for rehearsed talking points. It's a practice, a relational practice. We enter conversations with curiosity, courage, generosity, and something new becomes possible. Insight emerges, assumptions soften, futures can shift. These conversations for good are not merely pleasant conversations, but conversations that do good. Conversations that strengthen communities, that deepen understanding, that remind us that disagreements doesn't need to always be divisive. It could be an invitation for curiosity and exploration. So as you listen tonight, don't just learn about our guest Erin. Notice yourself, what moves you, what unsettles you, who you're becoming in the presence of this exchange. Because the quality of our lives is shaped by the quality of our relationships with people, with places and things, with ideas and actions, and with the conversations we choose to enter. Every conversation changes the future in some way. So today, with curiosity and a little vulnerability, we begin. I'm your host, Paul Harris, and my guest tonight is Erin Peden. Welcome.
Thanks.
So we'll chat for about 45 minutes, I think. Often when we get chatting, time just seems to vanish, so hopefully we can stick on schedule. And then afterwards, we'll have some time for questions and answers. So it's really a delight for me to get to know you in a different way, because we always talk so much about what we do and the projects we're involved in and all those kinds of things. But tonight I want to get to know a little bit more about who you are, because one thing that we know about you is that you're an expert in many things, but the thing that you're probably an expert in the most is an expert in Erin Peden, and that's the person we'd like to get to know a little bit tonight. So, are you ready to dive in?
I don't know, I think I'd be less stressed if it was an interview.
If it were, yeah. I get you. Yeah. What kind of conversation would you like to have tonight? What's the feel of it that you...
I don't know, I think you're going to take us there. Wherever we go, we go.
Well, I'm open to it. I can throw these away and we can just keep going.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. So, when you think about who you are, not your role, not the projects that you become involved in, not your history, who would you say you're becoming today?
Who am I becoming today? I don't know, and I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with not knowing who I'm going to be, because, and I know I'm not supposed to talk about historically, but I've never, nothing has ever worked out the way I expected to. Absolutely nothing has. Not, everything from where we live to how our family looks to the work that I do, absolutely nothing has gone the way I intended it to. And that is so lucky. So I'm not exactly sure who it is that I am becoming, except that I know that I will focus more on that whole, behavior is communication. It was a concept that you hear, when you're investing and learning about children with autism, etc. You learn a lot about behavior is communication. And that applies in all places and with all people. Behavior is communication. So if I am meeting somebody who is over the top with how they are expressing themselves, or if they are disinterested, to me that's communication. I need to hear what it is that they are not saying and try to grow from that.
Okay. Can you give me an example
of how behavior is communication?
Yeah.
Well, should I throw my husband under the bus, or should I do something else?
Do you mind if the bus comes for you?
No, I'm not. Well, okay, let me think of something else. No. Just in a relational form at work, if I come to a table and I feel that people are not being as open as I would expect them to be, or if they are not engaging in a conversation the way I would want them to me, it is that behavior is communication to me that they're not comfortable. So how is it that I change the conversation so that they start to feel comfortable enough to speak to me? And for me, it's always expressing vulnerability. And I am like a renowned oversharer, but the second you put a lot on the table, people kind of figure out what pieces they can pick up, and the doors begin to open. So that is how I apply behavior as communication on an everyday level.
Okay. So kind of like a little bit what we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
We put it all on the table at the beginning.
Put it all on the table, yeah.
So thinking about that, who you're becoming right now, what are the things that have your attention right now?
I'm kind of hyper-focused on finding common ground. We were just talking about this before everybody came today. I know that a lot of people that are around us right now are feeling that divisiveness, and that you've got to be extremely one side or extremely the other side. And if you're not on the same side, then you're automatic enemies. And I cannot subscribe to that. I can't. I think that none of us are enemies, and that somewhere there's common ground. So in all places, yeah, I'm really hyper-focused on finding the ways to bring people to common ground. I don't care which side of anything it's on, but how can we work together to achieve anything?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to that idea that we don't become who we are in isolation. And so maybe when you see people that are thinking they're opposites and there's no common ground, there actually is, because they can't be who they are without being in relationship with all the other things. Some of the issues are even the same, they just look at it a little differently.
Absolutely. I mean, take a look at it. Well, any social issue, more often than not, everybody does want to get to the same place. It's just how they're getting there looks a little different. So how can we pull some of those pieces together further back down the road so that we're not wasting our time fighting with who's doing it best, instead of just doing the things to take us to where we need to go.
So do you use stories to help them? How do you get people to start being more open and more vulnerable and find that common ground? Is it a storytelling? How do you get there? I think the for myself is admitting I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Everybody has something to teach me, and whatever I do know, it's not enough. So I think if we approach every circumstance asking a question, and not asking a question so that you can show that they don't know anything either, but asking a question because you're actually interested in what it is that they know, I think that is the best way to open the door. So that, they feel like they are needed, because they are needed in order to get anywhere. Right. So that idea of curiosity, how do you help them to be more curious about each other?
They don't know that they need to know things I know too, right? So I got to show them. I need to know, you need to know.
Right.
Yeah.
So this sort of takes you to quite a little bit of a different question, but I want to explore a little bit more about a time in your life where you felt that your purpose most strongly. And I'm wondering when it moved you, and does it still resonate today? So could you maybe tell us a story when you're like, you had that sort of aha moment, this really feels congruent with my purpose in life?
I should have started
Well,
with everything saying I'm the ugliest crier in the world. So here we go.
We have these.
Okay.
But also, it's okay. Silence in this room is okay for a while too. Like if you just need to take a minute, it's okay. This is a good space. We don't have to fill every moment with words.
Well, anybody who knows me is already bored with this story because we talk about it all the time. I talk about it all the time. But I was at work one day, and I mean, I love my job. I love my job. I can pour myself into my job. It's, you know, I get to help the community, but I don't have to do, and I apologize for saying this, but I don't have to do the break your heart grassroots work that is like the foundation of good stuff being done. I get to be farther away from that so that I can feel good, but survive. And in our household, you know, my husband is an RCMP member. We have enough trauma that live on the walls of our home. So I love my job. But when I got a phone call at work one day from, you know, Children's Services asking us to take a couple kids, it was like, it's not somebody asking if they can borrow your car or if they can, you know, borrow $100 or get a grant to do something small. I mean, all of a sudden I have these lives popped into our worlds, lives, and really injured humans. And so I think that if we were to talk about any cresting moment when you really found your purpose, it was then, and I didn't know it, and I was pissed off. I was mad. This wasn't how, again, we wasn't how we saw our life going, but without believing that everything happens for a reason, I knew that this had to happen for a reason. Why are they here, and what am I supposed to do? And so in that is kind of when I really started questioning systems and whether or not we're doing things the right way. And when we talk about, you know, systems change work and how we can look at a community and determine how we can better collectively move things forward, the understanding is that I'm probably not really going to move anything forward, not in the grand scheme. But if I change one life and I keep one, or hopefully at least the 5 in my home, in a space where they are safe and they are contributing society members, then I have done some form of systems change. And so that, to me, I think is probably very surface level of that cresting moment of.
You're right. So many questions I have about that. But let's talk about systems change for a second and think about it maybe over a long period of time. Do you think that the lives that you're changing right now will change the system over a period of time? Is it perhaps your own impatience in wanting to see change immediately that is what gives you the frustration?
Well, I definitely love to jump in with 2 feet and want to see change instantly.
You just want to scream. It's obvious. Like, why can't you get it?
And I literally did scream. Like, there were times where we were in meetings with Children's Services and they'd be like things like, you know, she's 2, and so I don't really need the $675 of recreation fees for her because she can't be involved in that many social things. But you have told me that family connection is priority. So what I would like to use the recreation fees for is to take the whole family swimming. Let's go and do some big thing at a water park or whatever and give them an experience. So the funds are there, like, let's do this. No, the money cannot be used for that. The money can only be used for this one specific child. And so why don't you go on Amazon and buy her stuff? And I was like, that is insane to me. Okay, and also we have all of the children together for one day. So would you maybe want to support, you know, traveling fees for us to take the kids to the water park? Absolutely not. So just to be clear, your mission is family connection and keeping families together, but I am going to put all of my money into Amazon, and we are not going to put any of the, because it's a provincial, we're going to put provinces' money into Amazon and not into something that's in alignment with your mission. Yes. Well, I lost my mind. I was not cool about it. I couldn't respond in a way that was articulate. I was just like, this is, I probably told him this is stupid, but I probably also put some swear words in there. I wasn't good about it at all. I kind of forget where we were going because I'm mad at them again.
See?
Where were we? Where did we start with this?
Well, we were talking about long-term change.
Long-term change. Ultimately, so that is, no, I'm not going to change anything. I think I might be putting the time and the energy into the kids and trying to shift systems, but probably the only shift that I'm really going to make is somebody to see us and go, oh, okay, so that is how you adapt your family in order to create some small change. Introducing them to community.
Right.
And we did. Like when those kids came, I leaned on everybody in this room. I leaned on and said, like, we need this. And they stepped forward. School division. I have a whole bunch of kids with special needs. The school division stepped up. I, called Sendero Center. I called like everybody that we knew in our community. We leaned on them and said, these kids need you. And the community said, lean away, we're here. And so if we're going to create systems change, I don't think that we can expect we're going to see it within our lifetime, but the more we show people how to take those steps, I think then our kids learn and their kids will learn, and eventually the systems will change. We're not going to see it, but it's got to start somewhere.
Right. It's interesting to me that woman that you were talking to couldn't see that it was a relational problem right from the start, that she's working in that field.
Well, I think they did, and that was what was so frustrating for me, is that they kept saying, "I know this is ridiculous," and I was like, "Well, you're in the system. Start shaping the system." Well, no, we work within policies, and so that one was a hard, because I was like, "Well, you know what you can do? You can change a policy," but there is a lot of pushback on that.
Right. Do you think maybe that the next time that happened, she was a little bit better?
Well,
we don't want to have Erin again yelling at us.
I guess that's the whole thing, is that you never know if people are receiving the information that you're giving them as a way to grow and learn and affect change, or if they are receiving the information and thinking, she should probably go to counseling. So I don't know. I know that people...
Both could be true.
Both could be true. I did go after that. I thought, okay, I got to expand this window of tolerance. But I don't know. There is a lot of expectation from me that everybody else is in the same position, that they want, their blood is full of fire and they want to create change. And that is not just the way everybody moves through life. And so I've had to find some space in understanding that, because it can be frustrating. But hopefully they are able to go to the next meeting and say, maybe there could be some change from within. It doesn't always have to come from the top down. But I can't.
Maybe you're a story now.
Oh,
there was this
I'm
one
sure.
time that we got a call, and maybe,
when they're in counseling, and she yelled at me. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. And sometimes we don't see the changes we make.
True.
Sometimes we can't see them, even though we know what we want to see. The process takes a longer time.
Okay, well, hold on. So if this is a conversation.
I knew you were going to do that, and I love that.
Okay, so you have been in the community for many, many years now. How many years?
Since 1992.
So since 1992, you've played active roles in a entrepreneurship space, but also in a city councilor space. So when you look back in the community, is there anything where you think, I probably had a piece of that change?
Yes, there is. There's several. I could probably name a few things. What's interesting now to look back is that some of the things that are changing, nobody knows that I had any fingerprints on it. Mm-hmm. So that's an ego check for me, because I want to jump up and down and say, that thing happened because I pushed it. But it's just a thing now that exists in the community.
Yeah.
So I can feel good about it, but so you might experience the same thing. Some system change might happen, but it will never have your name attached to it.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with not having any my name tied to anything. That's not.
You don't want a statue?
No, I don't. Especially because I probably yelled at somebody, and I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, well, she was actually not somebody that should have touched me. Because there's a lot of things that I've done. A lot of things. Everything I've learned is from having made a mistake, right? So I worry that will also be remembered.
I think it's interesting that you use the word mistake, and because it's an interesting word. When you think about the way we are in the world, we do the very best we can do at any given moment, and sometimes it's pretty messy. But is it a mistake, or is it us doing the very best we can?
Yeah, that's fair. I think sometimes I've behaved in ways that I know were not appropriate, but I did it anyway.
You did it.
So, and I don't know, maybe that's just my mother's Catholic guilt. Like I can feel her. You shouldn't have done that.
And then you
know,
wake
I
up in
made
the
a
middle of the
mistake.
night and you
I do.
replay it.
I still
you
think
replay
about
it.
things from when I'm 16 and I made fun of somebody once. And sometimes I lie in bed at night and I'm like, God, Erin, like that was awful. I do. I had those.
What were you like in high school?
I was a nerd. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
What were you interested in high school?
I was the kid that was in band, and I was in drama.
You went to band camp?
I did once go to band camp.
My niece is in band, so I understand this a lot.
It was honor band. But yeah, I don't know. I try to erase high school from my memory. I was like the SRC president one year, and
What is SRC?
Students Representative Council.
Okay.
I don't know. High school was a really fun time for me until it wasn't, and yeah.
I don't know. I think my sense is that most people think the same way of high school. There's a few out there that think it was the best time of their lives.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody should think it was the best time of their lives, because if they did, they probably peaked, right? That's done.
A little early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're polishing somebody else's cars. Isn't that what it was? From Back to the Future, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's ask this question. So right now, when you think about how you're changing, what relationships are helping you become who you are today?
Actually, the ones that I never would have anticipated. I have the very best supportive circle of people, so I am always becoming who I am because of them, and also the experiences that we've had with the mother of the children that we are raising. We've had our eyes open to how disability can be weaponized within our society and within our system, how marginalization is so gross, and also we understand why people get frustrated, right? We've been now on both sides of it, where we desperately want her to be, seen and heard, and also we appreciate why people don't always want her in their space. So I've learned a great deal from somebody who is going through the most horrific hardships. I've also learned so much from people like yourself and the people in this room, people who I have absolutely nothing in common with. And I sit around the table, I have this group
I used to
of
have red
humans.
hair. We had that in common.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's all down the drain.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm finding that the people who are shaping who I am are people who I would have never ever anticipated even having in my life. And it's because
Okay.
I've started listening more to what they have to say, whether or not I like it. And boy, that makes things more interesting.
So tell me about a time when maybe you felt a little uncomfortable having to listen, and then how you handled that.
Well, I'm still working
Or
on
knowing
the
that
listening
you
part.
need to listen.
I think, well, are you talking about in terms of going into it with like a self-growth conversation, or are you talking about it in terms of going into a space where you're uncomfortable because you don't know the same things that they know in a room?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Pick one. Either one.
Recently, I joined this CEO forum group, and it's a professional development learning group, and I still don't know why I'm even able to be at the table with these humans. They're brilliant, and they're so entrepreneurial, and their budgets are way beyond anything that I could ever even imagine working with. And so I sat in there and I was nervous, and I had a chip on my shoulder because I kind of felt like, well, like as if they're going to listen to anything I have to say. But listening to how they are approaching social issues and work issues and relationship issues, I thought, oh, like that's that common ground piece.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much in common. We don't hang out with the same crowds. We definitely don't drive the same kind of vehicles. They to me were foreign. And then now that I've spent some time around the table with them, oh no, it's really not that
Are
different.
they becoming friends?
Oh, I adore them. I love them.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that shift happen? Was it in the first meeting right away, or?
No, the first meeting I came out of there just feeling like the imposter syndrome was so huge. I wanted to be in anybody else's skin. I just didn't feel comfortable at all. For probably about the third time we got together, and I cried in front of them and thought, well, this is it. I may as well just go and end things right now. But it changed everything. And it's that, oversharing, over vulnerable. And I know Brene Brown will say, don't overshare too much, and you're not supposed to be vulnerable in all places, but it worked out. So at least
The
there's
wheel
that.
always works out.
Yeah.
That's
so,
neat.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of them sat there thinking, I wish I could let my emotions out.
You know what? I can't. I maybe a few of them.
I bet. So we were back to what's shaping you, but who you're becoming now, and you talked a little bit about your family and what you're doing there. Talk about some of the ideas and places and maybe practices that are influencing you.
Ideas and places and
Or practices. Or that's three different categories. Pick one.
I really, really love the idea of groups coming together and talking about, what all of the issues are and putting it out there, and then collaboratively coming together and trying to determine who should be picking off which space and who can provide the service in whatever that space is. So we're seeing that in our community right now, that there are, broad conversations around the housing continuum and what that should look like and who's playing what role in what space. And not everybody is comfortable with the conversation. Everything from how it's affecting business owners to how it's affecting those with lived experience to how it's affecting homeowners, and the fact that the conversation is happening, to me, is such a win. It is such a win. So the idea of putting it out there and getting through the sticky, ugly stuff and having those conversations, I love that idea. I love that people can play a role in whatever space they're in.
So the practice that you're saying is that you like to convene groups and essentially host a conversation where people get to know each other. Is that get to know that it?
Part of it. I think when the groups are coming together, it's not necessarily with the intention to convene. Sometimes it's with the intention to be on opposite end of things. So they're coming to argue, to sell their own position, right? And what ends up happening is you find that common ground piece. So maybe the practice is coming together, but maybe the idea is just to throw something out on the table, ignite the flame, and it's going to burn. But at the end, are we going to have a fresh new forest?
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of information out there around storytelling. So that convening thing where people get to tell their stories, that's where the common ground is most obvious.
I think it's not necessarily, you're right. It's where they get to tell their stories, but you can tell a story and feel nothing unless you know that you've been heard.
Right.
So maybe the practice is just that as a community, when you come together in that way more often, you learn how to listen better. And when somebody feels like they've been heard and they've been seen, then they're going to be more interested in hearing and seeing you as well.
So how do you have that? How do you convene it in a way that happens, so people feel heard as well, not just tell their stories? How do you help them be listened to?
By authentically listening.
So you model it? Okay.
Yeah. How
what
would
does
you
that
do
look like for you?
Oh, let me get a question before I... I think what it looks like is challenging. So if you are listening and you're asking a question, it doesn't have to be challenging with but why do you do it that way? But you can challenge, but why do you do it that way? Because why wouldn't you do it this way? Like, I need to understand. Then somebody knows that you're actually in it. That you might not agree with it, even when they're done speaking, but at least you're in it enough to actually hear what they have to say. How would you model it?
I think I would do it in a similar way by keep asking questions until I felt like there was some curiosity in the room. I really like to I like to reframe the idea of anger to curiosity, because there's a moment right before we label how we're feeling inside where we can choose how to label it. So we could say I'm upset, or I'm angry, or I'm hurt, or we can name it any number of things, but almost every emotion we can name as curiosity. And we can stay in that moment just long enough to start asking questions about what curiosity is, and get a deeper feel of it. Then we can just let the label sit aside for a while. In the end, we might still feel that we want to label our emotion anger, but if we could stay in curiosity for a little bit longer, I think we get further.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, that's how I try to do it. Am I successful? I've had experiences this week where I was supposed to be curious, but I went to anger pretty fast. we shall not mention.
I'm a redhead. I'm like, I'm not yelling. I'm not mad. I'm Scottish, and this is how I communicate. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Well, my staff said I was firm this week. Not with them. This was this issue. I thought I was maybe raising my voice, but they said you were not. You were very firm. You scared the bejesus out of that person. Okay. So that's okay. So back to this then. Here's an interesting. I'm going to move on to a little bit different. So, what things do you have, or what relationships do you have that you're needing to dampen a little bit or to let go of completely, so that you can invite your future self to be more present? We should have pass cards. We should say pass.
Yeah, you know what? No, honestly, I don't have a relationship that I need to dampen or eliminate. I've had to change direction on some of the relationships that I've had, or change expectations, but I would never want to dampen anything. I think about...
Well, what about ideas or actions or places? Because those are also relationships.
Ideas?
You have a relationship with ideas, things that you hold, stories that you tell yourself repeatedly. Those are you're in relationship to that. So that's what keeps you awake at night sometimes.
Oh, well, then I got to dampen everything my mom made me feel bad about in my high school years. No, I don't know. She's going to be mad.
Back to high school.
Really mad at me.
How was high school for you? Yeah. Really?
No, I am not going to dampen anything. I'm going to go back and say no, because when it comes back to the mistakes thing, right? When you said it's not a mistake. If I am trying to dampen or change something in order to become someone, that's just me trying to have control of the direction I'm going again, and I've already learned that doesn't work.
Okay.
So there are times when, you go, like, I have to fall down to know how it is I'm going to stand up again.
So would you call it a reframing then, when you need to look at something differently rather than a dampening?
Yeah, maybe reframing, or just acceptance. So that's how it was. That's what I did. That's where we were. And now we have to move on. Sometimes it's not even reframing. It's just moving on. I don't know. What would you...
Interesting. Well, I just think about some of the people that I know who have, say, relationships with alcohol, for example, or have a relationship with a bad marriage or an abusive partner. And there is some dampening that needs to go on. Sometimes it's a complete abandonment of those things. So
I did have one, I when we first entered into the situation with the kids and the mother had moved into town, she moved into town, she was still housed, she still had some supports wrapped around her in the community that she had been previously. And when she came here, that all fell apart. And I felt responsible for that in some way, felt that was, because her kids were here and they were living with us. And so we played a role in her world unraveling. And so I would do things like pull her out of a tent in order to see the kids, because if she didn't see the kids, then she was not going to have access to them anymore at all. And I would drive her to appointments and try to get her to the hospital. And I was killing myself. And at one point I went in for an appointment on something totally different, and I had a cold sore and I was looking tired and stressed, and the doctor, we dealt with what I was in there for, and then she said, okay, now honey, we got to talk about this. What's going on? She's like, you were very stressed. I said, I have a lot going on. I've got a bunch of kids. I've got this woman that I'm trying to take care of. And she said, you're going to have to let somebody go. And I was like, not let something go, let somebody go. And that to me is like, it hurts to even think about it. Who do you let go of? Which flame do you douse when it's a human? So I had to make my choice, and I had to, and I knew she was right, and I needed somebody to tell me that. But I wouldn't call it dampening. It was a very deliberate choice, and this is how it is, and I have to accept it, and now I've got to shift this way and focus on her children and hope that they don't end up in the same situation, because they have the same disabilities, they have the same probability of being in a similar circumstance at her stage of life. So how can I help that? Mm-hmm. Thanks for taking us there, Paul.
You're welcome. Let's go someplace positive. I mean, those aren't negative. I'm just saying let's go somewhere lighter for a minute. What would be a good lighter question we could ask? Maybe we could do this one. Like, tell me about a time where you were in a place where things were so funny. Maybe it was, I don't know where it could be, but what was the experience like? Who was around you? Were you at a theater? Was it just something ironic that happened? Where you just laughed your ass off because it was just too much?
You know what? I was at a conference thing and this wasn't that long ago in Banff, and you know, you get to a certain age where when somebody says, "Hey, let's go to the bar," you know that's a terrible choice. At this stage of my life.
But you're not going to dampen it. Off you go.
But I was like, don't want to be the buzzkill, I better go. And as we were walking up the stairs to go to this place, all I could think of was like the last time I was there, it was like, oops, 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 oops. And I remember walking in and feeling, that was like 10 years ago, feeling I am probably about 10 years too old to be here. So now at this stage, walking up those stairs, I just thought, oh, what is coming? And we sat down and the band started to play, and I'm not kidding you, it was every song from, you know, that era in life when you were cool and you'd go out and do things and be somebody. And we knew the words to because we were all in the same age bracket. We knew the words to every single song. And I'm sitting there singing Bust a Move with this person I hardly know, word for word. And I was like, I was as cool as I was when I was, 14 years old singing that song. Maybe I was a little bit younger. I don't want to make myself sound older than I am, but it was so beautiful to me. And I imagined everybody else, it looked absolutely ridiculous. And it was such a highlight. It was maybe the highlight of my year.
When was that? A few years ago?
It was like October.
Last year. Oh, awesome. I love that. What city were you in?
We were in Banff.
Oh, you were in Banff.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that. Okay.
Yeah, went to the Rose and Crown. And
it was the Rose and Crown.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Has anybody ever had a bad time there? No.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. And who was the band? Some cover band?
Fonzie Scheme.
Okay. That's
they were so good.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, let's see. How are we doing?
Everybody must be bored. This is like the...
Now, how many minutes do you think we've been talking?
Like 1 gazillion?
Yeah. No, about 40, if you can believe it. Okay. We're going to fast forward here. So, what does this Erin that's becoming now need to tell the future Erin?
Ooh, The future, Erin? I don't know.
Is there a bit of advice or something you want to remember, something you know now that you think this must not be forgotten?
Oh, this is going to sound so cheesy.
If it's about the Rose and Crown again.
I don't want to forget. Oh, gosh darn it! I don't want to forget what it sounds like when all the kids are in my living room and they're all trying to tell me about their day at the same time. It drives me absolutely crazy. I'm like, shut up, shh, one at a time. But at the same time, to have that many humans who want your attention because like you're the only person who they want to tell, man, I don't want to forget that ever.
Okay, I love that. Have you written that out?
No.
Will you? You might have homework coming out tonight. I just decided now.
Yeah, put it down. Yeah, right? Like the sound of your kids laughing when they're really, really little, and then when they're older and they're teenagers, they're just starting to become humans.
Yeah.
You want to remember that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's going to be a time where I'm going to wish they wanted to tell me about their day.
Yes, I love that. Okay, thank you for that. No, it's good. Because we all have ideas, we all have experiences that we think are so important and we wish we never forget them. I think we should take some time to write them down and remind ourselves. Yeah, neat. So, we're getting near the end. If the best of who you are now continues to unfold like you would like it to, and I know that you've said it never has unfolded that way. Never. But supposing it does start unfolding that way, what would it look like for you? Who would you be in the world?
You know what? I don't know that I would want to be a lot different than I am right now. Hopefully, I will be the mother of contributing society members. I think that if that's the trajectory we're on, but if it's not, and if for some reason one of them becomes or gets into a situation where they are not recognized as a contributing society, I hope that the best of me now continues into the best of me later, and that I will walk through life with them anyways. Because isolation is rotten.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the wrong answer?
Oh, that's the right, that's the wrong answer. Okay, thank you for that. I really love all the answers that you've shared with us and your wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom. And there's going to be some questions from the audience here in a second.
I can't believe they're still here.
Thank you for being real. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The last question is not about the content, but it's about our practice. So what's it been like for you to sit here and participate in this conversation? Any reflections or something you'd like to share about where it went for you and how you feel now?
It's really hard. This has been a very interesting practice because I can't imagine that anybody would want to hear it. It's vulnerable, but it makes me want to come and listen to other conversations that you're going to have with other people because I want to know their stories too. So you did a great job at keeping it real and open, and you pushed even when I was trying to playfully avoid. So,
okay.
Yeah, I appreciated this.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Okay, and how do you feel now?
I'm a little bit nervous to look outwards.
Well, your friends here have a few really good questions of themselves that they'd like to ask. You okay with that?
I think so.
Okay. So we're going to turn the time over. I'll just moderate a little bit. So any questions are out here in the audience? Fire ahead.
I think I'm gonna like fumble through this because I was crying. That was so beautiful. But I think I'm so curious because I don't know all the details of your family like system and dynamic. But from what you said tonight, you seem so like open and trusting with your kids in the world, given that you work in a system that's quite hard to look at sometimes. I feel like how you stay so open and faithful with your kids going out into a world that maybe you firsthand know is quite ugly. How's that for a question?
How do I stay so open?
Yeah, like you seem very optimistic and that like you work in a system maybe that isn't great, like doesn't work well, and yet we all send our kids also into systems that don't work great. Like I'm a teacher, so it's like there's some stuff there too, but you seem so optimistic and so like faithful in our community maybe. How are you staying like that given the role and maybe what you see all the time, but staying open and not like wanting to close your children into your home?
Well, I think I'm really lucky because what I have seen is everybody is so open, and we do get to see the very best in people in that they are working so hard to help other people within the community. So I do trust the community, and I do trust that there are more people in this community who want to do good and provide help than there are, people who aren't. And what I have learned through, all of these, when you're working with people who you don't know and you feel like you're not on the same page, ultimately, they want to do good for your family as well. So I mean, I have to explain, like the kids came from something so bad and what was so hard that I trust that every experience that they have from here on end is going to be better than what they started with. My oldest is biological, and she is naturally turning right back into the community and doing the same work that we've leaned on, within the community. Our son is adopted, and he comes from, we've been really lucky, but I think it's because we've been so vulnerable and so open to relationships. So our son is adopted, and his birth family and us are connected. We stay connected. He knows who his family is beyond the family within our home, but his bio family. Because we've always opened those opportunities for relationships, it seems really easy to me because they were strangers to us, right? Like we had no idea who they were. But if you can trust to share a child with somebody, then you can trust to share a child with your community too. And I think more of us do need to trust our community than naturally we do. We're afraid to, and I think that, as parents, nobody can do it better than us, right? Except that everybody else has something else to give our kids. So I don't know. Maybe it's blind trust. I'm married to a cop. I know that not everything is safe within the community, but I also know that there are really, really wonderful people.
So there's a balance, or there's more beauty than ugliness. There's the system, and then there's the people.
Well, and I think that's how you teach resiliency too, is that your kids cannot only see the good. They can't only see the good, because then they don't know what to do when they are faced with something that is hard. So being open and honest about what's hard in the community is how you set your kids up for being able to recover when things are so difficult. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything.
Crap. You should be. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Okay. Go ahead.
Have you think about to write a book of all this experience? I think that it shows very clear the broken system, how the other sides of the caregivers going through, and the kids is one thing. This is another thing, and being close and see all the it's another way to help the people to read and the people to see where they can go. This is a great, heavy experience for a person who is very busy in this world and be able to face everything that you've been doing.
You're gonna write a book?
So I've been told that time and time again, I'd read your story. Do you know what a major roadblock is for me? Is that every story has an ending.
Yeah,
And like, we're not there.
I know.
So it's hard for me to imagine begin writing something when I don't know how it's going to end. And also, you know, I have 7 kids to deal with and a job, and I don't have any time. But yeah, I'm still nervous about the outcome. Like we still are going through situations. We worry about what is going to happen with the kids. They are still within the system, and you know, when you're nervous to jinx things and it's ridiculous and superstitious, but I'm also like scared a lot of the time. Yeah.
But everyone has a different chapter. If you see everything happen, so is this chapter, and what happened with the mom is unfinished, but it's also another way to prove how broken we are. This is not enough for what the people need and what the people going through.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's 2 sides, because I mean, when I was focusing on how broken we are, I was sick all the time. The first year and a half of when those kids came, it was a nightmare. But shifting into look at how much we've been able to provide and how much our community has stood up with us, as I think that is also a perspective that needs to get out there, because the systems are broken, but this is how we survive in them. But I don't know.
Well, that kind of goes to the idea that words create worlds. We can look at things in multiple ways. And what you're saying through your stories is that, yes, there's broken pieces, but there's all this stuff that's not broken. Compassion, the caring, the individual relationships we have with people, with places, with ideas, and how that love can lift and move things in a good way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a stronger framing and a stronger message that we often, I think, we, especially if we flip on the news, we don't see that piece as much as we see the other piece. Yeah, yeah. And you have said that clearly too, that you couldn't do this alone.
Could not do this alone.
Yeah.
No.
Other questions?
Write the book. My grandmother, I got to say this, my grandmother always tells all of her stories. She had 8 kids, and every story starts with, and another time I felt like a horrible mother. So maybe that should be the name of my book. Another time I felt like a horrible mother. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Tell me about something that really excites you right now.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really, really excited about the conversations that we're having around housing in the community, and like, I am in it, and I don't like everything that I hear all of the time, but I also love that we are having these conversations, and I'm watching these learning journeys happen for both sides of the equation, because exposure is everything. So the more you're exposed to something, the more you learn. And so I am game for every uncomfortable conversation that we have right now. I love it. Yeah. It's fascinating.
And that goes back to the answer that you said earlier about that being your practice, about bringing people together for interesting conversations or uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. So you're excited about that particular conversation, but
I mean, my head's right there because that's what I came from right before I came here. But I mean, not every part of it is good. There are certainly conversations I go home and I feel awful, like I feel gross inside because I've either leaned on a system that was, you know, very harmful to a specific group of people, or when I am faced with their anger and trauma, like it hurts that they have to hurt and that they have to feel this way. And yeah, it's not, it doesn't always feel good to have these conversations, but they're necessary, and I am excited about it.
That's cool. I felt your question.
You know I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah. Well, I saw you lean forward and you're ready to go next.
I don't even know if it's so much a question as a wondering, and I think it's going to be allowed anyway. It's more about wanting to explore the idea that you sort of felt like you hit that brick wall in the system and you want to make a change in that system perhaps, but realize you're not likely to be the one to change that system. So when I heard that, then I think about how I've seen you show up in the community with this newfound life and
close enough to you, see you doing and finding your way, even though this was not part of the original plan. So I think about how you're changing systems by all of us understanding some of the things that you're doing in community. But then I think further, and I know you don't want your name on a statue or a plaque or anything like that, but as I listen to you talk and I think about all the things you've walked through on the journey with your kids as a family, all of the relationships and conversations that you've had and how that in itself is system changing. It's not a huge, you're not building a mountain of change, but you are incrementally changing. It's kind of like the seconds on a clock, I would think. And in all of that, you've challenged and seen the frustration of a system, and you're working in a community that sometimes is very frustrated by systems that have failed people. And so I'm like, how are you going to apply the knowledge you have through your personal experience to some of the systems you see working in the community that are failing people? And what brilliance do you have to bring to that table in conversation?
That's a good question. It's a big question.
That was a big question.
It's really big. It's more of a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
more of a, let's think about this.
When we had the personal change, I was forced to the table. And I mean, I could have said no to the kids, but I didn't. And I felt like I was forced into a system, and because I was forced into a system, I could not know anything and it was okay, right? And I think that was the key piece. And so when we go into any kind of system within the community, you have to go there, even if you're going there willingly, you have to go there and admit that you don't really know anything, you don't know enough. And so any of us can do that, where you can go to a table and say, I want to know more, I don't know anything, but I do know that this isn't working. So, let's keep talking. And I think that's the only way that we can apply active systems change work on a day-to-day level. Again, we don't know if we're going to see any outcome, but it's just the start. It's very weird to be on this side of things. I have a degree in journalism. I've never.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't an interview. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Are there other questions? Jay, do you have a question? Susan? We're all good? Okay. Well, let's thank you very much for coming. You've been absolutely brilliant, and we've got so much that we're going to take away. We think so highly of you in this community, and I don't know that you always see it, but we see your fingerprints on a lot of things, and we really appreciate you being here in our community and being here tonight too. So thanks again.
Thank you. This was wonderful. Thanks for coming. It was cold and gross. Thank you. Done? Great. Who's next?
Who's next? That's a good question.